I'm going to be remaking Flappy Bird in 24 hours as a horror game. Now, why would I do that when Flappy Bird is dead? That's a good question. The original Flappy Bird was making nearly $50,000 a day in ad revenue, which sounds pretty nice, and out of all the copycat formats, none of them, even the goat of them all, have successfully done horror. Until now. Let's go ahead and start the timer. And now the first thing to do when starting a new game is you gotta boot up Unity and create a new project for it. Now Flappy Bird is simple. The only objective of the game is to dodge vertical pipes. So how hard could that be to make? So I started throwing together a player controller. Surprisingly, the script for this was pretty simple. Everything seems perfect. And that's not right. Just go straight up to the heavens and don't come back down. That's a little bit of a problem. Let's just turn this down a little bit. So now you get the sudden rush of feeling like a bird, flapping just like Flappy Bird. As I was making this, I wondered, does the Flappy Bird actually have a name, or is it just Flappy Bird? So I had to pull up a quick search check. Fabby. That's what we're going to start calling him. We've got Fabby, but if you haven't realized, this isn't like Flappy Bird in one way. There's no pipes to dodge. This is a bit more challenging of a problem to solve because I'm going to have to make many different pipe variations, then create a system to spawn them randomly. So I finished making the system and fuck. Now the best way to debug your problem is just flood print statements everywhere and eventually figure it out. Now it's actually working, the pipes get destroyed as you pass them. Also, when you touch the pipes, it does nothing. Nothing at all. The script for this works pretty simple. Pretty much it just checks for the pipes and then... yeah, no one cares about this nerd stuff. The game mechanics are there, the aesthetics are not. I fired up Blender and began working quickly as we're about 6 hours through. I'm gonna have to step this up if I want to finish. First thing I made was the pipes, which were relatively simple. You just make a cylinder with one large end and paint it. I then decided to be ultra cool and make a procedurally generated texture and spent way too long. For the measuring, as you can see, I'm using an ultra precise measuring technique used by all professionals. Trust me, everyone I then need a background to make this feel immersive. The only problem is I'm not much of an artist, and my best works have been finger painting. I still decided to try and make some pixel art for the background anyways. I hopped into Photoshop and just started waving my brush around. I'm going to save you the boring time and just swap to the end result. Honestly, I think this is pretty good for my first pixel art. This should be framed next to Da Vinci or someone. We're actually missing an important part right now, and that's Fabby. So I had to try and make him, and to keep it interesting, he's going to be 3D, because that's what I have the most experience with. I traced over the outline of Fabby and created a model that only a mother would like. But regardless, I made some adjustments, and I don't know if it's just me or not, but I think he's looking a little fit. I painted this scary texture. Before the haters ask, I did both sides. Added this into Unity and everything seems fine. Perfectly 100% fine. That's not very helpful. I actually did get it fixed and I was indeed an idiot, so I had parent orientations wrong. Now let's speed these pipes up because they're a little slow. Yeah, I think that was a little too fast. Now to make this scary, you've got to have the adrenaline pumping, and I was wondering how I could do that, so I put myself in the shoes of a bird, thought of what something terrifying would be, and it involves a net. Wait, no, not that kind of net. Yes, that kind. Made the net and now I needed someone to operate it. Now you might think this looks awful, but I think the hat makes them. I then painted and rigged them up, and now we have probably the most cursed character I've ever seen. Is this what girls without makeup looks like? He's kind of pointless right now though. I thought about how I could make this guy work and I just couldn't think of anything. I thought about just scrapping him. Then the idea hit me. I started smashing my keyboard and eventually made this system where you fly around and then randomly you'll have these areas pop up where little Jeffrey tries to catch you. If you're caught, then, well, you die. Now, a very important part of a game that sometimes gets overlooked, especially by me, is the UI. As I said, I'm not an artist, so UIs I normally struggle with, but trust me, I think I cooked here. I stuck with the same color palette as the background and made some moving objects to give life to the scene. Afterwards, I think that it turned out pretty good, and I even made some simple settings. The desk screen got rehauled, and I think it looks far better than before. Let's just get that old trash out of here. I still have 6 hours left, and I want to add something else before the timer runs out. I made some new pipes that are skeleton arms to make everything seem scarier, also a little more difficult. I can't show the death screen because it's part of an Easter egg you're gonna have to see for yourself. One last thing that's very important in games, and horror games especially, is the audio. Currently I have no sounds. I had to call on some help on this one. So I think this is sounding pretty good, but it doesn't really seem very Flappy Bird-like to me. I messaged him back and he seemed pretty confident in his abilities, and I can see why after seeing the end result. Now this is the kind of audio I was looking for. This sounds majestic. Phew. Well, looks like I might have to go stock up on some chicken flavor ramen. I believe the game is complete now. I still have about 2 hours left of the timer, but I can't think of anything I want to add. I think the game turned out pretty good in 22 hours, and for those of you who want to try it, I'll add an itch link to the game in the description. If this video gets 2,000 likes, I'll make it mobile compatible.